Welcome back, students, to the adventures of Toto. The story so far, we have seen that how Toto displayed his talent in mischiefs by pulling out the peg along with the plaster, tearing the blazer of the writer into shreds, not letting animals sleep in the private zoo, causing annoyance to the grandfather at the railway station, and above all, biting the ears of poor donkey Nana with his sharp teeth. These were a few troubles that he had caused to the others. Now, in the lesson, further we will see how he once landed himself into a big trouble. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evenings was the large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hand, then gradually step into the bath, first one foot, then the other, as he had seen me doing, until he was into the water up to the neck. Once comfortable, he would take the soap in his hands or feet and rub himself all over. When the water became cold, he would get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone laughed at him during this performance, Toto's feelings would be hurt and he would refuse to go on with the bath. One day, Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. We have seen, children, how he loved taking bath during the cold winters, enjoying himself in warm water, and he was very clever as he would first test the temperature by putting his hand first and then the first foot and then the other. He also applied soap all over his body, which he had seen the writer doing. And once the water gets cooled, he would not remain there but would try to run away to the kitchen fire, where he would dry himself and get some warmth from the fire. Now, one day, children, something very serious happened. Toto was almost on the verge of boiling himself. A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for tea, and Toto, finding himself with nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid. Finding the water just warm enough for a bath, he got in, with his head sticking out from the open kettle. This was just fine for a while, until the water began to boil. Toto tried to raise himself a little, but finding it cold outside, he sat down again. He continued hopping up and down for some time until grandmother arrived and hauled him half boiled out of the kettle. Hauled means pulled out. So, students, sometimes your mischiefs can go against you, and here in this case we have seen that Toto tried to enjoy the warm water bath, and so he stepped inside that large kitchen kettle which was kept there for preparing tea, but Toto thought it to be a big vessel containing warm water, so he moved in and he remained there until the water started heating up. When water heated up gradually, he thought of going out of the vessel, but since it was very cold outside, so Toto decided to remain in this kettle. But after some time the temperature increased and the water started boiling. Now you can well imagine, children, what would have happened to Toto. He started hopping up and down, and luckily he was seen by grandmother, who pulled him out of the kettle. And so, in that way, Toto saved himself from getting boiled up. If there's a part of the brain specially devoted to mischief, that part was largely developed in Toto. He was always tearing things to pieces. Whenever one of my aunts came near him, he made every effort to get hold of a dress and tear a hole in it. Toto's mischiefs had no limits. How can he let the things go undestroyed? It was not the characteristics of Toto. So he had to tear things around into pieces, and he did not even spare the writer's aunt. When she used to pay a visit in the family, Toto would run after her, catching hold of her dress and trying to make a hole in it. One day at lunchtime, a large dish of pulao stood in the center of the dining table. We entered the room to find Toto stuffing himself with rice. My grandmother screamed, and Toto threw a plate at her. One of my aunts rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. We found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree, the dish still in his arms. He remained there till afternoon, eating slowly through the rice, determined on finishing every grain. And then, in order to spite grandmother, who had screamed at him, he threw the plate down from the tree and chattered with delight when it broke down into 100 pieces. Children, Toto's pranks became wilder day by day. His mind kept on thinking of new mischiefs every time. One could not guess what new mischief was running in his mind. No other animal in the private zoo had troubled grandmother so much than did Toto. One day we saw that the delicious pulao, which was served on the dining table for the family, was relished by Toto. He was filling his mouth with handful of pulao. He did not like the screaming of grandmother and threw a plate at her. He even threw a glass of water on the face of one of the writer's aunts. And then Toto ran away with the dish to the jackfruit tree and enjoyed every bit of it till the afternoon. Now, children, you can well imagine grandmother's anger rose to her highest pitch when Toto threw down the plate at her, which broke into pieces. There was no regret in his eyes. Instead, he chattered and jumped with great happiness. Obviously, Toto was not the sort of pet we could keep for long. Even grandfather realized that we were not well to do and could not afford the frequent loss of dishes, clothes, curtains, and wallpaper. So grandfather found the Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. So students, by now we can see that even grandfather realized that Toto's mischiefs were causing a lot of disturbance in the family and also adding on to a lot of monetary loss as well. His regular tearing and breaking up of things were getting heavy on their pockets as they were not very rich, and so they could not afford to replace things so easily. So Toto was sold back to the Tonga driver for only a sum of 3 rupees. So children, we can say that the story has entertained us with a lot of humor. But there is also a hidden message behind it. The writer wants to convey a message that each animal has its own characteristics. And animals like monkeys, they are very mischievous. They cause a lot of damage. You all know that. So even if they look cute, they can never be a disciplined member of the family. You agree to it? So these animals, they live better in their natural habitat, in their natural surrounding, and so they should not be tamed and kept as pets. Another very important message that the writer wants to convey, that we must love all animals and treat them with respect. As we have seen in the story, grandfather, when he saw this baby monkey tied to a tonga and he was in a very bad condition, grandfather felt pity on him and brought him home, and he tried to provide him with all the comforts that he could possibly manage. But as you know, the animals have their own natural instinct, and so was Toto. He behaved in that manner because he was a naughty monkey. Monkeys are naughty, you know that. So, the story gives us a message about two things: animal rights and animal welfare. Hope you enjoyed the story, students. Keep learning. Thank you.